Sounds good.
Yeah, it was you. Yeah.
Okay, welcome everyone. This is, I believe, class number 4 of GPS for the Soul. So we have now the last class of GPS for the Soul. I think there's something else starting next week. I forget exactly. The Parsha class finished last week. We're starting another one this week, God willing. And I think next week, in this same time slot, starts a class about dating and marriage. I think so. I sometimes confuse which class is which, but so this is the last class for GPS for the Soul Part 2. So you should be getting an email with your survey or whatever it is exactly. And so fill that out. If you need help, let me know. Again, it's not a quiz, it's not a test. It's just the administrators of Jewish U at Chabad on Campus International just want to make sure you're actually here and at least learn something, I guess. I guess that's the point. Also, a shout out and a congratulations to Binyamin, who was accepted officially to the Panama trip this summer. So that's very exciting. I've never been to Panama. I'd like to go. Maybe I'll go one day. I just have my Hawaii mug from when I went to Hawaii last year. My daughter was, huh?
Why don't you join on the Panama trip?
I wish it was so easy. You think I could just like be like, oh, I'm going to Panama also? Even amongst us.
I'll be the one that instructors.
Oh, I don't get to choose who I'm not in charge of the trip. This is an international trip. This is all on the campus, huh?
You don't get credits?
Do not get credits. This is an international trip. Students from all over the states. I don't know if there's going to be international students on this trip, but students from all over the states. And I am not the organizer of the trip. I just one of the Chabad guys here, and here we are in Queens. So we promote the trip, and we know it's good. Binyamin's been on it before, and not the one in Panama.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And others said last year was Spain and Granada. That was supposed to be pretty. I wanted to go to that one too, but I guess I'm not special enough to be chosen for that. So there you go. So I don't go to Panama, but I did go to Hawaii last year, and I have my mug to prove it. And so class 1, we did chapter 3 of Tanya, class 2, chapter 4, then we did chapter 5 last week about Torah study. Chapter 3 was about the spiritual anatomy of our soul, the structure of our soul, which we said that our soul has how many powers? How many soul powers?
7.
3, 7. Do some math.
10.
10. 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 soul powers. Those are effectively your soul power. Those are your potential. That's your koyach, your strength, your ability, your possibility, your capability. We might say perhaps kind of like who you are on some level. Then chapter 4, we discussed the clothing, the garments. How many garments? 3. Oh, this time we got it right. 3 garments. That's right, 3. What are the 3 garments? Here, you don't get to go to Panama if you answer it right, but I'll like you if you like it right. Get it right. Oh, no. Nice try.
Thoughts, words, action.
Very good. Thoughts, speech, and action. Machshava, dibur, umaise, maaseh. Machshava, thought, dibur, speech or words, as was said, words that were said, get it? Or maise, maaseh, action. Those are the garments. I mean, that's not who you are. Those are expressions of who you are. That was chapter 4. Then we did chapter 5 last week about the unique quality of Torah study, how we bond intimately with Hashem when we study Torah. And now we move on to chapter 6 of Tanya. And this class, unfortunately, I couldn't think of a cute, good name. By the way, sometimes you have to pay attention carefully because sometimes the names of the classes contain within them hints to other things that you have to pay attention to. But anyway, I couldn't think of a good one for this class. So it's just called The Other Side. That's what it's called, The Other Side. And we'll find out soon why. So I'm opening up my Tanya over here, chapter 6. Everything we spoke about so far, about your 10 soul powers, about your 3 garments, and so forth. Everything we discussed about the structure of our neshama, of our soul, was referring to the godly soul. Now, admittedly, we did not study chapters 1 and 2 together in this particular version of GPS for the Soul. Some of you have studied that a little bit with me in the past. And what those 2 chapters say in brief, is that we have two souls. Two. One is our animal soul. No offense to anybody here. That's what makes you an animal. Or did I say animal? I meant human being. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody. We're all animals, right? Okay, so nobody's offended. If everybody's an animal, it's not a big deal, right? Every human being is an animal. I'm not offending anybody. That's kind of just the reality of the way it is, right? Most people, the first thing they think about, the first thing they say, and the first thing they do in the morning is probably very animalistically. Again, it's not bad. What do animals do? They eat, they drink, they sleep, they procreate. These are all things that are necessary for survival. So animal activities does not necessarily equal bad activities. So a human being acts, present company excluded, much of the time, if not most of the time, if not all of the time, like an animal, just that we stand upright on 2 feet instead of walking on all fours. But what do humans do? We eat, we drink, we sleep, we procreate, just like the animals. There's not much of a difference. Okay, we're more intelligent. We could invent electric cars. We could invent gasoline cars. We can invent all sorts of interesting things. We could also philosophize. We could think. We could feel in ways maybe that was more complex, perhaps, than animals feel. Although, how would I really know how an animal feels? Unless I am an animal, I know how I feel. So we all have an animal soul. An animal soul is what enlivens us. It's what makes me a living human being. If I don't have an animal soul, you know what it means? Yeah, it means I'm dead. Yeah, but an animal, by the way, has a soul too. An animal also has a soul. Okay, I'm assuming and I'm hoping it's a little bit different than my soul, but it's nevertheless, an animal also has a soul. What kind of soul does it have? An animal soul. Good, and so do I.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is that how science defines us? Also, because we both animals and human beings.
How does science? I don't know. How does science
both
define
belong
us?
to the same kingdom, Animalia. Same
Animals? Okay, good. So there you go. So we're all a bunch of animals. No offense to anybody. We're all a bunch of animals. So we all have an animal soul. If you don't have an animal soul, you are not alive or dead, depending what words you like to use. That's chapter 1 of Tanya. Chapter 2 of Tanya, which again, we learn together right now. Chapter 2 says bonus, the bonus round. We have a bonus, and that is called the godly soul. It's not an animal soul. It's not a human soul. It's a godly soul. It is divine. It is holy. It's a pure piece of God above. The same way that if you take an apple and slice it into pieces, each apple contains all the same qualities, the crunch and the juiciness and the tartness and the flavor that the entire apple contains. Yet a piece of an apple is not an apple, it's merely a piece of an apple. Similarly, our godly soul is like a piece of God's apple, so to speak, if you will. It's not a perfect analogy, but analogy nevertheless. So, do you need an animal soul to be alive? Answer? Yes. Anyone else? Anyone want to argue?
I could argue you need it, but you also need the godly soul to be alive.
That's what I'm asking. Do you need a godly soul to be alive? Well, by the way, the animal soul wants to eat, drink, sleep, procreate. The animal soul wants whatever is best and most delicious and juiciest right here, right now. Whatever's going to give me the most pleasure, the most benefit, the most enjoyment. Whereas the godly soul, one second, isn't about pleasure. It isn't about enjoying. It isn't about filling my needs. It's about filling God's needs. It's about bringing holiness into the world. Yeah.
If animals only have animal souls, like besides for humans, which includes squirrels, but squirrels are known to put nuts in the ground for the winter, how does that correlate with they only take what they want right then and there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So perhaps I was but for the sake of brevity, I missed out accuracy. When we say that the animal soul only wants what's good here and now, you have different types of animal souls. Some animal souls are a little bit more intelligent. So you can explain to them, listen, I know you want to eat that acorn right now, but the winter's coming. So it's actually better for you to plant it, to bear it in the ground, and you're going to have it later. It's going to be better for you. Oh, okay. If I'm intelligent, I can understand how that would be better for me. Likewise, you have different animals that are more intelligent. You have monkeys, chimpanzees, whatever it is. They can, to some extent, make tools and actually create things and do things. Whereas, I don't know if a cat or whatever, an ant, well, or ants. Ants are extremely intelligent. They build entire colonies, complicated colonies with tunnels. So even within the animal realm, you have different types of animals. So to different types of animals, so too different types of animal souls as well. Some are quote unquote more intelligent. Some are able to understand that what's best for me is to delay my gratification.
So then how do we know that we have two souls and it's not just our animal soul that was explained?
That's a very, very good question. Two answers. Answer number one is that it says in Kabbalah we have two souls.
Okay.
Answer number two, and which, by the way, bases it on a verse in Tanakh that we have two souls. Neshamot ani asiti. I made souls in the plural, which granted can be understood in different ways. Kabbalah understands it to mean that within one person, there are neshamot, there are souls, plural. That's one answer. The other answer is that what is the animal soul? What is the godly soul? So the animal soul is about the self. Is that bad? No, it's not bad. Is it bad to think about yourself and take care of your own needs? Not at all. In fact, it's quite important. Animals are selfish for the most part. Right? I'm speaking in general. We can find exceptions, but in general, an animal is selfish. There are exceptions to that, right? It says in the Torah that eagles carry the young in front of them, so that if someone tries to attack, I'm sorry, other way around, behind, so that if someone tries to attack, they will be killed rather than the child, rather than the baby. In any event, that's a digression. So an animal soul is basically our selfish drive, whereas the godly soul is the drive for altruism. That means to be selfless. So the other way we know we have a godly soul is we see within ourselves, within our human selves, the capacity to go beyond myself. The capacity, the ability to go beyond myself, which is most primarily illustrated or demonstrated in the view of the Tanya, at least, as the fact that Jews over the years, unfortunately, have died al Kiddush Hashem, died sanctifying God's name rather than convert to another religion. And that applied to Jews that were religious, Orthodox in the traditional sense, as well as Jews that were not observant at all. But when push came to shove, and an enemy of the Jewish people put a gun to the head of a Jew and said, "You better convert or I'll kill you," the Jew said, "Okay, so kill me." I know that's not 100% of the cases, but by majority, unfortunately, our history indicates that actually is what happened, unfortunately. Whether it was in 1492 in Spain, the Inquisition, whether it was, the Gazetas Tachlit.
1938,
Okay, many other times.
Yeah.
Like on Masada, they all killed each other and stuff.
I thought they killed themselves in Masada, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they became captive, then they would have to convert.
No, they were just being slaves in that.
Oh.
That's a complicated topic, but okay. Maybe we'll do a class on that some other time.
Isn't the problem?
In any event, those are the two ways we know we have a godly soul. Number one is Kabbalah says we do. Number two is the godly soul is our ability to rise above, to go completely beyond myself, which we see we do have the ability. Now, everything we discussed in the first three parts of GPS for the soul, chapter 3, 4, 5, about the anatomy of the soul, 10 soul powers, 3 garments, and our unique ability to connect to God through Torah study, was only talking about the godly soul. Here in chapter 6, he shifts gears and says, by the way, all of this is also the 10 soul powers, the 3 garments, are also manifest and present in Mr. or Mrs. Animal Soul. Yet, there are some differences. Now, what I'm basically saying is like this. So now I'm saying what the Tanya says in chapter 6 is that existence in general is structured based on the correspondence between good and evil. Whenever you find good, there's going to be something in the realm of quote unquote evil. Evil, by the way, we're going to see, so it doesn't necessarily mean bad and terrible. But it's a delicate balance. There's a correspondence between good and evil. Or if you want to express such an idea, perhaps, maybe, could be, in physics terms, we would say for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So it is that way in physics, may I say, because that's the way it is spiritually. For everything in the world that is on one side of the coin, there is the other side of the coin. For everything good, there is something evil that corresponds and relates directly to it. In other words, there's a balance. There's a balance in the world of good and evil. Now, in the realm of halacha, of Jewish law, we actually don't have two categories. We have three categories. We have something that is asur, forbidden. What's the opposite of asur? Forbidden. What's the opposite of that? Mutar, permissible. But there's something in between that as well in the language of halacha. Anybody? What? Rishus, rishut. Permissible. Meaning, if you want to, you could, but you don't have to. It's permissible. It's not a mitzvah, meaning we really have four things in halakha, right? We have mitzvah, something that you must do, you're obligated to do, you're required to do. Then there's something that you're forbidden to do, that's asur. Then there's something that's permissible to do. And then there's something that if you want to, you could. Rishus, permissible. You could if you want. In Kabbalah, that third category, rishus, of permissible, doesn't exist in the lexicon of Kabbalah. In Kabbalah and Chassidus, it's all black and white. It's either good or it's evil. There's the only two choices. Good, and good equals holy, kedusha, holy, or evil. Those are the only two options in language of Kabbalah. Now, in chapter 3, we said that the 10 soul powers, remember those? The 10 soul powers, how many intellect and how many emotions?
3 and 7.
3 intellect and the math is simple, 7 emotional attributes, right? Those are called, they're corresponding to the spheros, the 10 holy spheros of Kabbalah. Now, in chapter 6, he doesn't use that word. He changes the word and says crowns of impurity. These 10 soul powers that exist in the animal soul are not spheros, they are not divine, they are crowns of impurity. What's the difference between, what does a crown mean? So, what the Alter Rebbe is saying by using the word crown here and referring to the 10 soul powers of the animal soul as 10 crowns is that the forces of evil operate like a crown. What does a crown do? A crown encircles and encompasses your head. It's above, it's a little bit beyond. So the crown encompasses. So too, the forces of evil that exist in the world and might have an influence on what I do. They might influence what I think. They might influence what I say. They might influence what I do. Remember, those are the garments, thought, speech, and action. Those may be influenced by the crowns of impurity, but the crown is always a little bit beyond, a little bit removed. It never is internalized or integrated. The forces of evil do not operate internally within me, but they function and influence me from without, kind of like the way the crown is above and around the head, but not within the head like the brain. So the forces of evil, we have to know, first of all, are a little bit external to me. They're not internal. So in other words, the power that evil may hold over me, the power that evil may have to influence me to think, speak, or do things that are, quote unquote, not holy, that are evil, it derives not from something I comprehend, not from something that I've internalized, but from a simple unconscious level, which we call the crown in the language of Kabbalah. And it's not internalized. That's the key point here. It always remains beyond. So any evil, if you want to call it that, proclivity that we may have, any not holy inclination, desire, yearning that we may have, is only because there was an influence from without, like a crown, but not from within. It's never something that's been internalized and integrated into my being. Does anybody have any questions about that? Did that make any sense?
So the animal soul is not integrated into the human being?
Good question. Very good question. The animal soul is integrated into the human being.
But if animal soul would want you to do like that's for you here and now, And sometimes those can be considered evil.
Yeah.
Would that mean like evil is somewhat integrated into a human being?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So it's a little bit of a delicate balance. What does it mean to be within and what does it mean to be without? Could something be within yet still be removed? For example, ideas in your brain. Where are they? Where are your, do you think you have brain stuff going on? Brain stuff going on? Yeah, good. Where is it? It's in your brain, right? We could agree on where else would it be, right? It's in your brain. Now, can you conceive that there's some ideas are at the front of your mind? Like when someone says, well, just on the tip of my tongue, it means that it's right at the forefront of my consciousness. Whereas other ideas or perhaps other experiences are not at the forefront of my experience, but they're a bit removed.
Which neurons are fired more often?
I'm sorry, say it louder.
Which neurons are fired more often than the other?
I don't know enough about, or I should say, I don't know anything about neurology to answer the question. But we don't need to be neurologists to, on some level, understand that certain ideas are. Did you ever have an experience? Let me ask you this question. You don't have to acknowledge necessarily, but let me ask you this question. Have you ever had an experience, looking back on it, it doesn't seem like it was you? You ever have such an experience? Like, I know it happened, but I kind of don't believe that it happened. Like, I had an experience that I kind of relate to as it wasn't even me. I know it happened, so it's there. Where else would it be? It's in my consciousness. It's in my life, but it's there in a way that's kind of removed, kind of distant. You know what I'm talking about? Or I'm just me?
I think so.
You think so? Or maybe just an idea that you're more fluent with. Something you're more fluent with is at the front of your mind, so to speak. Whereas something that you learned maybe in grade 3 and whatever, I don't know, it's an old concept. It's at the quote unquote the back of your mind. So even something to be present within me, in what way is it present within me? Here's an even better example. Have you ever seen someone who was present in the room and was just totally not there? You know what it's called? It's called smartphone. It's called, you ever talk to someone that like this? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, sorry. You never did it, but you probably know someone who did
Oh,
that.
no, I do it all the time.
Oh, you do it all the time.
And I don't even need my phone.
That's what it means. You could be within and at the same time not be there. You could be within but beyond at the same time, not in a positive way.
Oh, so the presence is altered.
So too, the present could be altered. So too, you have certain people that can be existing within time and space, yet seem as if they're beyond. Like in sports, you have this, for example. You have certain sports, certain athletes that are playing the same game as everyone else. They have the same hands, the same feet, but it's like a totally different league. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody like sports and can relate to what I'm saying? Like I grew up in the 1980s. That's how old I am, by the way. I grew up in the 1980s in Canada, in Western Canada. So the big news, of course, was hockey, obviously. And in the 1980s, in Canada, who was the greatest hockey player? Wayne Gretzky. You know hockey. They called him the Great One because there was nothing else to call him. He was operated on a level that was so far beyond everyone else. He literally just skated around everyone else. It's almost like he did whatever he wanted. It's almost as if the rules didn't apply to him, even though he played completely within the rules, completely within the game. He was in it. He was completely immersed. And at the same time, he was a little bit above, a little bit beyond. So the animal soul is very much within us. It's very much a part of who we are. Yet at the same time, those influences that may influence us in a negative way are not me. They're not coming from me. They're coming from beyond somewhere. So I hope that addresses the question a little bit. Now, okay. So back to the drawing board. In Kabbalah and Chassidus, everything in the world, down to each minute detail, is either holy or unholy. Those are the only two choices, good or evil, if you use English words, holy or unholy. What's an example of something holy? Huh? The Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, okay? Okay, good answer. That couldn't be wrong, right? A Sefer Torah. A Sefer Torah is holy. Hard to hear.
Helping someone.
Oh, giving someone assistance, helping them, sure, that's holy, yeah. In the mitzvah.
Giving tzedakah.
Giving tzedakah. Let me ask you a question. The money before you give it to tzedakah, is it holy?
I don't know.
You don't know? That's a good answer. You don't know. Not necessarily. That's a good politically correct answer.
You can make it holy by
You can make it holy. What do you have to do to make it holy?
do good with it.
To do good with it. What does it mean to do good with it?
Good thing.
What's it mean good things?
Separated for Hashem.
Separated for Hashem, you said?
Or for something.
For something. Yeah, in plain English, the way you make your money holy is you give it to tzedakah. That's the way you make your money holy, in plain English. What's no offense to the sushi here, but is the sushi holy? No. Then it's evil, because those are your only two choices. If it's not holy, then it's evil. Binyamin, don't get upset about it. What about the big ziti? Holy or evil? Good or evil?
Wouldn't you call it
Holy
neither?
or unholy?
Oh, it's unholy. yes.
Unholy. Good or evil? What? Okay, good. Fine, good.
Elevate it.
Want to elevate it. But the big ziti is not holy. Therefore, the only other option is that it's unholy. The sushi is not holy. Therefore, in the language of Kabbalah and Chassidus, the only other option is that it's unholy. Or if we use the word good and evil, then the sushi is evil. Next time someone says, hey, you want to go get sushi? Nah, sushi's pretty evil. Now, if we take the piece of sushi, we make a bracha. Which bracha is the question? Not such a simple question to ask. I mean, to answer.
Right.
I heard it's two different
Well,
levels.
You heard it shahakol, you heard it's mazonos, you heard it's two different brachas. Okay, it's complicated and brief. We'll have one day on halacha shir, we'll talk about sushi. But in any event, if you take the sushi and you say a bracha, the correct bracha, and then you eat it, and you're using it now, it gives you a little bit of energy to pay attention and focus so that you can fill out the Jewish U survey after the class and get your points or whatever, then you elevated it to holiness. Now, Kabbalah uses the following Aramaic term. It's two words. Sitra achra. Sitra achra, which translates as, anyone? The other side. Remember, that's the name of this class today. The other side. So there's two things. There's Kedusha, that is holiness, and then there's the other side. Everything in the world is either Kedusha or the other side. So the Sefer Torah that's here in the Chabad house is Kedusha. It's holy. The sushi is the other side. So the other side is very broad. In fact, the other side encompasses almost everything in the entire world. The air I breathe, the other side. The table I'm sitting at, the other side. The chair I'm sitting on, the other side. My mug holding my tea, the other side. My phone, well, debatable. My phone, the other side. It's almost everything in life is the other side. So as people are already getting to, the goal for me is to lift it up, to elevate it. It's like pariv. It's like having your car neutral. You can push it either direction. Pariv, food, you could eat with flesh. It's gewaltig. It's convenient. It's up to you. So too, with the other side, it's really up to me. Now, some things are so far gone on the other side that no matter how many blessings you pronounce, and no matter how noble your intentions are, you still can't lift it up. It's like a quarter glued to the floor. Can I get an example of that? Something from the other side that's so far gone on the other side that you can never lift it up. You can never elevate. You can never transform to holiness. Anyone? Just laughter. Laughter could be elevated. It says the Gemara says that one of the great sages of the Talmud would tell a joke at the beginning of his Torah class. Maybe it wasn't a joke. It could be it was a cute riddle. Mekama the Posach b'Shmaisa says that Rabbah, before he would begin teaching his class on Gemara, he would say a riddle or a joke or something, and all the sages would give him a good little laugh, a good little that. Then they would be open. They'd be open to learning after that. It's the power of a story. That's the power of an analogy. That's the power of a cute idea to open up our minds and hearts to Torah. What's an example of something?
An act or like a thing, like to
Yeah, give me an example of something that's from the other side, but it's so far gone that no matter how many brachas I pronounce, no matter how hard I try, I can never lift it up.
Idol worship.
Idol worship, that's a great example. An idol can never be lifted up. In fact, the Torah says, what do you do with an idol? You destroy it. Well, interesting. That's no, it's not crazy at all. 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 The act in and of itself. Well, one second. Are we mature here or immature? I have a question for Yamin. Are we mature or immature here? Which is the crowd? This is like, we should talk like third grade potty humor, or this is like mature? We could talk about things that are mature and not necessarily always comfortable to speak about, right? So certain actions can go either way. This action you're just mentioning can be either holiness in marriage that can lead to a new child being born. That's what's holier than that? That's the closest a human being can come to being like Hashem, is to create. There's only one person who ever created, that's God himself. And he ain't no person. So the closest a human being can come, and more specifically, only a woman, really, the closest they can come to being like God, to being godly, is by having children. It's the closest you can come. Yet, it could also be, God forbid, flipped to the other side. That's why, by the way, just an interesting vart, right? Interesting idea. In the Code of Jewish law, not where it talks about the laws of Nida, where it talks about the laws of family purity, but in another area where it discusses some other details about proper conduct between a husband and wife. In the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish law, each section has a number to it. Section number 1, section number 2. They're not numbered in English, they're numbered with Hebrew numbers, right? Gematria a little bit. So here's your Gematria test for today. The section that talks about, or one of the sections that talks about the conduct, the proper conduct between a husband and wife intimately, is section 240. Anyone? 240 in Gematria. Resh Mem. Which spells a word. Ram, which means nice try. It means exalted or elevated. Exalted or elevated, because the act of intimacy between husband and wife is ram. It's exalted and elevated. However, if you pervert the same act, what happens? Picture the letters Resh Mem. If you pervert them, it becomes mar, bitter. So the same physical, it's really just, I don't mean to be too straightforward, but it's just a mechanical act. That's what it is. It's a mechanical act. Man, woman, mechanics. It's the way it works, right? So it could either be wrong, it could either be elevated and lofty and exalted and holy. We'll speak about this more in the marriage class. I've prepared a lot on this topic, and so we'll speak a lot about this, God willing. Or if God forbid, it's the same act, but twisted, perverted. It becomes mar, it becomes very bitter. Pig meat, chazer, is from the other side, but it's so far removed, you cannot elevate it. There are other examples. An etrog that was grown on a tree, but in the first 3 years. There's a prohibition from the Torah of orla, of using or eating the fruit from the first 3 years of the tree is planted. So if you grow an etrog tree, and you sprouts a beautiful etrog, within the first 3 years, and you use it for the mitzvah, and it's the most beautiful etrog, you say a beautiful bracha, and that was actually an avera, that was actually a transgression. But most things in the world are not like that. Most things are a little bit pariv. Could go either way. My cup of tea, it's not holy, it's actually evil. Your baked ziti, it's not holy, it's actually evil. No offense to Mr. Baked Ziti. So that's the view of Kabbalah and Chassidus. Something is either holy, kedusha, or it's from the Sitra Achra, or it's from the other side. And again, the other side is all encompassing. It includes almost everything that we react with in the world. Now, here's the thing. Where does holiness get its juice from? Where does it get its energy from? Hashem, from God. Now, here's the trick question. Where does the other side get its energy from? Also from Hashem, also from God, but in different ways, in different manners. Okay, ready for the thinking cap? Thinking cap. So here in chapter 6 of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe pronounces a fascinating concept. He says like this. Everything has a front and a back. Or we might say in different terms, everything has an outside and an inside. What's my outside? Is my body. My inside is my soul. My front side, if you will, my panim, my face, that represents my soul. That's why when you look at someone's face, you see how they're feeling, see their mood. You could see a little bit into them. You look at the person in the face. Everything has an inside and outside. This cup has an inside and an outside. Now, here's the question. Are you ready? Which part of the cup, the inside or the outside, serves the function of the cup? What is the function of a cup? To hold liquid. So which part of the cup is doing that? The inside or the outside? Huh? Both. Outside. Think about it. The inside. The outside, both. It's a little complicated. It's a good thing to think about. So what is receiving the liquid? The inside or the outside? The inside. It's obvious, right? So what do you need the outside for? No, the inside is holding it. No, it's not. The outside is here and the inside is here. What?
Use the outside to hold the inside.
Oh. So the real function of the cup is accomplished by the inside of the cup. That's receiving the liquid. So the entire reason why the outside of the cup is there is only to support and allow the inside to stand up, to exist. Did this analogy work for you people or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try a different analogy.
Okay,
A knife.
okay.
What is the function of a knife? To cut things. Let's keep it basic, right? To cut. Which part of the knife does the cutting?
Sharp.
The sharp part, which is called the edge of the knife. So what do you need the blade for? Huh? To hold up. No, not the handle. What do you need the blade, right? A knife is like this, right? The edge is over here. This part is called the blade. So you only need the edge because the edge is what actually does the cutting. So why do you need the blade for?
To hold the blade, the edge, the cutting piece in place.
Was Aviv, is this also a stretch?
No, less. This
Less of a stretch. Okay, good. So I'm ascending. I'm going in ascending order. So what you need on the knife is the edge of the knife. That's what does what a knife does. So then why do you need the blade? What's the blade there for? Why do you need the handle for? The handle has nothing to do with a knife. The handle doesn't cut.
I hear.
So the blade of the knife is only there to serve the edge of the knife, which is the whole function of the knife. So there are certain things in life, like going to Queen's College, that are like the blade of the knife, but not the edge. You need to go to Queen's College. No offense to, maybe I do mean offense, but you need to go to Queen's College for what? What do you need to go for?
Jewish you.
Oh, that's the edge of the knife.
What kind of phobia is true? That's that.
1 second. So, but obviously you have good reason to go to Queen's College. You have a good reason. You want to get a degree. Okay, shkoyach, what do you need a degree for? You waste your time, 4 years. Someone asked my older son Mendel once, the Chabad Bachrim, the Chabad boys, on Fridays, they go around and ask people to put on tefillin. You know what I'm talking about? The famous thing. So I have kids, my kids do that. I also do, but my kids do that. So my son, they have great stories sometimes from these encounters. My son once went to this guy, he's my older son, and he asked him to put on tefillin. The guy starts harassing him. You're sitting in yeshiva, you're wasting your time. When are you going to get education? Aren't you going to go to university? So my son said, I don't really want to go to university. I want to go. You're not going to be educated. He's going on and on and on, harassing you. I'm going to put on tefillin. You should go to university, he tells him. My son says, you're asking me to do something that takes 4 years. I'm asking you to do something that won't even take 4 minutes, and you say no. So what do you want from me? So my son said to him. That didn't go over well, I see. But then my 15-year-old son asked someone a week or so ago to put on tefillin. And this man looks at my son, and my son's 15, another kid. You want to put on tefillin? Why'd the Holocaust happen? My son is like, what? I asked you to put on tefillin. Why'd the Holocaust happen? So my son also was sharp. So he's like, well, you think you know everything? You think you can understand everything? You don't realize there's certain things where you don't understand? How about putting on tefillin? Didn't work, by the way. But anyway, that was a digression. Certain things in life are like the blade of the knife. You don't really need it. It's only serving a supporting role. But what's the edge of the knife? What's really important in life? What really matters in life is the edge. And we have to discern and try to tell which parts of my life are the blade or the handle. They're just there to allow me to use the knife, to use the edge of the knife, and now cut and serve the function of that. So in the language of Kabbalah and Chassidus, the Sitra Achra, the other side, is like the blade of the knife or the handle of the knife, if you will. It's getting its energy from a blade of the knife of Hashem, so to speak. It gets energy from God, but not in an internalized manner, in an external manner. It's kind of like the inside of the cup versus the outside of the cup, the blade of the knife versus the edge of the knife. Am I making any sense at all, or is this like totally lost? It's making sense? Okay. Thank you for acknowledging that it makes sense. At least I know one person. Comments or questions? Okay, so I think it's already later than I realized. We'll wrap up, and the takeaway from this is to contemplate what are the parts of my knife, of my knife? What are the parts of my life that are like the blade, and what are the parts of my life that are like the edge and actually serving the real function of why I'm really here? So you want to, you should get your survey till
Was class 1 the doubles? Is that what it was?
class 1. Yes, we spoke about the doubles.
Yeah,
We
the
did, yes. The doubles and the mothers and the doubles.
Yeah, the mother.
Yeah, the mothers was Chabad, right? The intellect, because that gives birth to the emotions, and the doubles was the emotions, because
Right.